2008, the HPA Stanford Design Thinking Research Program was initiated, a venture that encouraged multidisciplinary teams to investigate various phenomena of innovation in its technical, business, and human aspect. The researchers are guided by two general questions. First, what are people really thinking and doing when they are engaged in creative design innovation? Second, what is the impact of technology, business, and human performance when design thinking is implemented? This book is a compilation of several research. In this book, the researcher takes a system view that begins with a demand for deep, evidence-based understanding of design thinking phenomena. Here are the several research had been held. The research by Philip Skogstad and Larry Lever was held to understand of how innovation is accomplished and how the achievement of innovation can be blocked or supported by engineering manager and designer. From the research, it was revealed that in order to create new concept, designer must go beyond the theoretical phase and implement the idea so they can learn from their experiment to create new ideas and advance the design. It can be challenging for designer to justify their action and use of resource before they actually build and test. If managers are not convinced by the merit of an idea and successfully prevent designer from building and testing it, they prevent the designer from gaining insight necessary to advance the design. Following by those research, the Unified Innovation Process Model for engineering designer and manager was developed. The model is expected to help each side to better understand the other side behavior. There are three activity functions in the model: plan, execute, and synthesize. Designer will do plan the idea, execute the idea, and synthesize the idea to become a solution. And during the process, there will be a reviewer, act as a censor of the idea before moving from plan to execution phase and as approver of the solution. If the approver doesn't satisfied with the solution and the result during synthesis are so different from what was expected, then the replan feedback is activated. When the results are not qualified as the solution but they are not so far from what was expected, then revise should be applied. But when rehash is activated by sensor, the designer are deprived of the opportunity to gain insight. Based on one of the research, it is concluded that when sensor shut down the idea, sensor not only prevent designer from gaining insight, but also risk the motivation of designer. Based on the model and several cases which has been investigated, they conclude that engineering designer who move from planning to execution most frequently and adaptively will perform best in new concept generation. Engineering manager need to encourage the shift from planning to execution, give the freedom to designer to explore the idea, make positive statement about the design rather than simply point out the defect.
As firms increasingly use design to successfully differentiate their product from competitors, the concept of design thinking has lately received raised attention among practitioners. Many consider design thinking to fundamentally change the way firms will strive to innovate. Design thinking can be thought of as a methodology for innovation that systematically integrates human, business, and technical factors in problem forming, problem solving, and science. As initiatives for design thinking grow significantly, we need to better understand how design thinking helps to foster creativity of designers and product managers and how it supports firms' goal of creating aesthetically appealing products. Design thinking is a creativity individual level process influenced by social level factors. There is high inspiration by others, high user centricity, high prototyping, and low criticism by others. which includes attention, memory, learning, and leads to an aesthetically appealing object. Adapting ideas from the extant literature on aesthetic and creativity may help guide the testing of hypotheses about the affective and cognitive aspects of design thinking, leading to a better understanding to differentiation by design.
Research by Pamela Hin and Joachim Leon. Work of this designer in particular area are influenced by corporate culture, national culture, and social environment. Designer creation mostly influenced by client relation type. In this subject, we are focusing client designer in North America, Europe, and Asia. Client designer relationships in North America was a collaborative process. Client involved and enjoy the process of design. Designer anticipate regular feedback from the client, which they will integrate into the design process on an ongoing basis. Designer role as balancing client involvement in the process at the same time maintaining the integrity of their design. Where client-designer relationship in Europe was described as reverse. The challenge was the absence of regular interaction with and feedback from the client. So they had more freedom to design. They spent a larger percentage on their time working on design brief to sell their ideas to client and seem more anxious about client acceptance. Meanwhile, client-designer relationship in Asia was described as reverse the service direction. As a client were said not to care about how the designers approach the design activity. They don't care about the process, just show me the cool stuff. What it meant to be creative in North America and Europe were sometimes seen as being radical and designing products that couldn't be easily be manufactured or were only appropriate for a niche market. It is stand out of norm. Meanwhile, Asia using a similar product as inspiration, something that fit with the stream of existing product. That there are no universal best practices for designer, and that each region, country, and culture had its own design path that leverage the culture and context in which design work is being carried out.
Now we are going to talk about a newly developed tool for transporting the working mode and physical environment in design thinking process. Synchronous collocated design thinking clearly is the preferred way for ideation and synthesis phase, where it is important to directly communicate ideas and see the reaction of team member. To support synchronous and distributed design thinking session, the teleboard system is developed. First of all, it is necessary to understand the way design thinking research team work and interact. There are three essential working modes for design thinking: handwriting on the whiteboard, writing a sticky note, and clustering. The teleboard system is an electronic whiteboard software suite which allows users to write digital sticky notes on tablet PCs, smartphone, or directly on the whiteboard. Users can also move them, cluster them, resize them, or change their color. All the mentioned actions are synchronized automatically and propagate to every connected whiteboard client. To facilitate a real interactive session, a video conference among the distributed team is included. In summary, the teleboard prototype demonstrates that it is possible to collaborate over distance and still employ creative working methods. In the next chapter, David Silkin of Stanford University conduct a research that addresses the barriers of effective collaboration, which usually requires physical presence, body language signal, and the ability to point to and act upon artifacts. The author shows how expressive teleoperated robotic avatars could be integrated into designer workflow. It established a resemblance of a physical presence and facilitate more direct communication.
Design thinking is best if tangible prototype can be used to capture and validate end user needs and envision new products and services. However, today such tangible prototypes are not feasible in a cost-effective manner for complex software systems with multiple users and their complex behavior. To overcome this problem, the research developed a scenario-based prototyping approach for complex multi-user software system that use executable software engineering model, including structural as well as behavioral aspects. Design thinking projects typically aim at single-user system, such as a physical product or a piece of software, in which case often the graphical user interface and its interaction with the end user is in the center of attention. Design thinking can be characterized by the activities: understand the problem, observe, point of view, idea, prototype, and test activities. The design thinking process is a highly interactive and incremental process driven by people with different backgrounds and experiences. In terms of software system prototype, there are three kinds of prototypes. First, explorative prototypes. Second, experimental prototypes. Third, evolutionary prototype. Design thinker mainly use either explorative or experimental prototypes. Prototypes are quite suitable for creating something tangible for stakeholders. Their feasibility, on the other hand, depend on the cost of their creation. Prototype will be enriched with new features such as support for multiple modeling notation.